Hello, welcome to iFanboy Mediasplode, episode 61, The Gilded Age, and the Summer Mailbag. My name is Conor Kilpatrick, and I'm here with Josh Flanagan.
Hello.
And John Richards. I don't know.
That's my cousin. That's my cousin. No.
Ron wasn't testing well, so we replaced him with a similar
John.
Hello, gentlemen. I got to show up more often. You forget my name, God damn it.
We're here from iFanboy, and normally we talk about comic books, but every month, thanks to our patrons at patreon.com, we talk about non-comic book media here on the Mediasplode show. It's our monthly time to hang out and talk about TV and film and sometimes books and podcasts.
He said our monthly time.
It's our monthly time to do it.
How old are you? Come on.
You're a man who's almost 50 years old.
I was going to say, we're almost 50 years old. Come on.
If you can't get joy out of that.
That's fair.
So we have a lot to talk about. There might be some spoilers. Well, there'll definitely be spoilers in the Gilded Age conversation, which I know everyone's super excited for.
Well, we're talking about the Gilded Age, and we're going to talk about what we've been watching and stuff like that. But above all, I had a question for the two of you, and Josh, you probably won't care about this. Connor, I'm curious what you think. Rough summer for TV.
There's not much on.
It was not like usually, like if you look at the past couple of years, there's been like a show of the summer or like a couple of things that have gotten the zeitgeist or things we like. 2 or 3 years ago, it was The Bear. Like that was the one that we discovered and the stuff like that. But
we are watching The Bear, but just one episode a week. So we're
but culturally,
culturally,
everyone's kind of moved on from it. Or
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a movie. That's not really a show, you know. I mean, and I would argue, and I'm glad we're talking about like my wife and I were talking about this. The closest thing to us for the show of the summer has been the Gilded Age, and that's probably why we're talking about it. But like, there hasn't been a buzzy. Everyone's watching this show and talking about it. And I'm putting aside any of the reality because maybe people are talking about Love Island.
Buzzy one.
Yeah.
No, but you're right because this is a show like that. Well, let's not get to the Gilded discussion yet. But yes, I think maybe. I mean, we've been watching old shows this summer because there's nothing to watch. So we've been watching Homicide. We finished Northern Exposure. We're watching 30 Rock.
Right.
Because there's just nothing.
It's been a dearth, and I don't know if it's like delayed response coming out of the strike or what, but it's just like it has just been a dead, with a few exceptions. And we'll talk about them, but there's been a few exceptions, but it's just been a dead summer for TV. It's been really tough.
Well, what have you been watching, Ron?
Well, I did want to mention this quickly because I generally for this show. I've been trying not to talk about something until I finished it, until like the season wraps, right? But I am mid-season in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, the third season, after a 2.5 year hiatus from the last season. And it was really jarring when the first episode was the second part of the cliffhanger of season 2's. You know that
they have to fix this.
That was a bad.
They can't keep taking 2 years between seasons.
That was a bad choice to have the first episode be the second part of an episode that aired 2 years ago was bad. But if you like the original series of Star Trek, you need to be watching this season of Strange New Worlds because every other episode is a love letter to the original series, and me and Mike Roma are texting every other week, and like all I do is I text Mike like 1 or 2 words, and usually it's like I haven't watched it yet, and then like 2 days later he writes back and like so if you're a Star Trek fan and you like the original series, you're loving it. If you're like me, you're loving it, and I'll talk more about it when the season wraps up. Hopefully, Connor, you watch it because like there's a couple of things I really want to talk to you about it with it from Star Trek canon and lore and things like that. But it's been a lot of fun. But the aside from the Gilded Age, the show that I enjoyed the most this summer, which is very much not a summer vibe show at all, has been Department Q.
Which just today got announced the second season.
Oh, thank God. That was what I was hoping for. Yeah. Great. Because I got to tell you, and Josh, I and Connor, I strongly recommend you guys check this show out because
it's 100% on my list.
Okay, so good. Because Department Q very much could be a Netflix slow horses kind of thing. Because I could see them banging out 5 seasons of this show the way they set it up. So Department Q is created by Scott Frank and Shandy Lakhani. Scott Frank, you might remember we talked about Monsieur Spade. Remember that with the
more importantly, he did the Queen's Gambit and Godless.
Exactly. I was just gonna get that. Yes, he did Godless. He did.
He did the screenplay for Marley and Me. I cried like a baby.
Also, Out of Sight and Get Shorty and all this other. Like
he's good.
He's got an amazing career. Scott Frank is anything you see Scott Frank's name to watch because it's fantastic. Apparently, he had the rights to the. This is based on a series of books. and he had the writer had given him the rights years ago, and he had no intention of actually doing it himself, and he sat on it for years and years and years, and then finally this Netflix deal came aboard, and so he allowed it to go through and had someone start doing it, and the scripts came by, and he's like, well, let me take a pass on it. And then he's like, well, let me just rewrite this. All right, well, I'm going to direct this. And so like it became this whole thing. And basically the whole background of it, it stars Matthew Good, who you might remember played Ozymandias in the Watchmen movie. And Matthew Good, he was on
Downton Abbey.
He was on Downton Abbey, and he was on The Good Wife. Remember, Connor? We knew him in The Good Wife. And I really like him, and I've always known him. He's very handsome.
Well, what's the main role we know him for?
What?
He played Robert Evans.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my God.
True. That is true. What was that in? What was that?
The thing. The Godfather TV show.
Oh yeah, The Offer. He was in The Offer. Yes,
yeah.
he played Robert Evans. Yep, you're right. The Offer. But I really hope with the whole Paramount thing happening and now Skydance taking over, I hope they do more Godfather stuff. Like that's an IP franchise. That
was a show they should have franchised out and done other behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Great idea. Yeah. But anyway, so Matthew Good in a departure type role, not playing the dashing, handsome fellow, rather
car driver husband.
Yeah, rather it's a bearded, wounded, sarcastic, difficult cop. And basically what happens is that he was shot in the line of duty and returns to the force and gets handed a cold case department. And it gets put in the basement of it takes place in Scotland, by the way. Very murky, very, very drab and dreary. That's why like it was not a summer show. Like it should have come out in November. Perfect for November, to be honest with you.
That's what summer in Scotland looks like.
Yeah, right. But it was a little slow going to get going. Like once they kind of set up the pieces, like it kind of took like 3 episodes to kind of get the feel of it. But once the engine started running and this thing went, we couldn't stop watching. It was episode after episode. It's basically putting the team together. He gets an assistant, this guy Akram, who's a Syrian immigrant to Scotland, who was a former Syrian police officer. Who doesn't have police credentials, and so he's his quote unquote assistant, but is like a kick-ass cop. And then he also has another assistant who works in the department who has some mental problems. And basically they agree to take on all the cold cases in Scotland, and they pick one case of a prosecutor who went missing 4 years ago. And what you get is kind of they play with the timelines where you see stuff happening in the past while they're investigating the present, and it kind of they unfold the whole mystery while also dealing with his present day problems. It was really multi-layered, really good. Also featured the woman who I love from Trainspotting,
Kelly MacDonald.
Well, as a show in Scotland, she is obligated to appear at least.
Clearly, yeah, it's in her citizenship documents. She plays his therapist, and I don't know. This show.
Did we all have crushes on her when we were younger? Because I did.
I still do.
From the moment she was on screen in Trainspotting, yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Brave, her voice in Brave. Come on. But anyway, but yeah, so you guys would love the show, and the whole question was because it was clearly them putting together the department, putting together the team. They spoiler, they solve the case at the end of the run, and then it ends with them going okay, and like. What's next? Like, what's the next case? And I didn't know if they were going to renew it for another season. So thank you, Connor, for making my day, because this could be like every year, give me another 10 episodes with another case. And I could see them doing this on and on and on like slow horses on Apple TV Plus. Cool. So strongly recommend. It was really, really good. Really good. So.
That brings to me, and I have already broken Ron's rule. I have not quite finished it yet. I'm on 6 of 8. And the reason for that is that we are trying to slow roll it because it's very, very good.
What is it?
Oh, have either of you watched The Residence?
Yes, but you need to say it for the people who are listening.
I'm so
our audio listeners.
Sorry, I forgot about them.
The majority of our folks are listening and not watching.
Majority.
Have you guys? So have either of you watched The Residence?
I watched The Residence over the holiday break.
I only knew about this because it was canceled after being critically kind of acclaimed.
Because it's a really expensive show.
Yeah.
I mean, like
it's a Shonda show, right?
Yeah, it's a Shonda.
Yeah, but it's just
she's not doing it for one of her.
It's created by Paul William Davies, who I looked. It's like he's worked on a bunch of her shows, but there's nothing that stands out in doing something like this. This is all right. The cast is stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Uzo Aduba. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry.
Uzo Aduba.
Who you'd recognize from a lot of things, including
Orange is the New Black, right?
and et cetera, et cetera. She's the sort of lead. You got Giancarlo Esposito, Ken Marino, Randall Park, Jason Lee,
And other people who you are not.
Bronson Pinchot,
Great.
killing
And-
it. Al Franken playing a senator. And it goes on and on and on and on.
Which is an interesting choice. That's an interesting, like, you'd
He's
think
good.
he wouldn't go to
He's
the well
good, though.
there, but he did. Anything with Ken
Yeah.
Marino gets my attention, by the way.
2 notes about the cast, though. One, Giancarlo Esposito's role was originally played by Andre Braugher. He died during filming.
Oh yeah, the
And so they
last one
had
I
to-
watched, they gave him a thank you.
They
And
had to
I said, I bet he was the original guy for this.
They had to reshoot those scenes, and then we were talking off camera about Jason Lee. I was watching this and I went, "Why isn't Jason Lee a bigger star?" Because he owns the screen every time he's on it.
Well, didn't he pull himself out of the game?
I feel like he bolted.
He
I feel like
bolted.
he made like
After
if you think
Earl,
about it,
he
Yeah.
bolted. Yeah.
he had Earl money. He's like one of the last sort of
He's so
network
good on this.
slash syndication.
He is the he's the so the premise
he's
is
Billy.
there's,
He's Billy Carter.
there's a murder in the White House. He's the president's ne'er-do-well brother who walks
Yeah.
around in a robe and slippers and steals things. He's great on the show.
But I mean, the thing is that this is one of those shows. It's not unlike 30 Rock, in that it's just joke, plot, cut. Like visually, dialogue wise, it's constant in a really cool way. It's interesting looking. All of the characters are unique and sort of their own thing instead of just a lot of cookie cutter stuff. And there's like so much happening at any given point. At the beginning, I thought, how are you going to stretch this murder mystery thing out for this long and have it not get old? And like I said, I'm 6 in and I'm like, I don't really want them to solve this right now. Because we're in the middle of it, but it is amazing.
The
It
wife
is
from This
so
Is Us
good.
is on it. The guy from The Wire.
Yeah, Isaiah Whitlock.
There's a lot of people. Kylie Minogue playing herself because there was a concert at the White House when the murder happened.
And,
An off-camera Hugh Jackman because
I was gonna say the back of somebody playing Hugh Jackman.
the Australian delegation was there during the murder, so there's Hugh Jackman keeps popping up, but not his face. I thought it was great. She's awesome. I mean, she's playing a very familiar character type, which is like Columbo or
but she's got her own thing. Like,
but she's fascinating. You can't not like she's utterly watchable.
She was great in Painkiller, which was the second show about OxyContin and the Purdue Pharma. I just kind of like it's a show. It's a Shonda show, and I was like, well, those aren't really my thing so much. And my wife was like, you got to watch it because you watched the first episode, and it's so impressive. It is so intricately crafted in a way that I totally didn't expect. Like the best comedies. And it is a comedy, but it's also pretty great.
It got Emmy noms, didn't it?
It's
recognized. It got. Didn't it get canceled right before the Emmy nominations came out? Right.
Well, it's got a giant cast. They basically recreated the White House, and not just the parts we're used to seeing on TV shows, but like the staff areas and all the areas around the outside. And then there's like a giant 3D model that they keep flying. So like they put a lot of money into the show.
They've already got that stuff though. They don't have to.
Right, but I can see why they would cancel it if they didn't do
Yeah.
blockbuster numbers because
Well, you can't do a second White House. You got to do it.
Someone else has died.
Yeah.
Who do you think did it, Josh?
I don't know, because I'm at the point now where like they spend one episode completely convincing you that Balki did it, and then another one that they completely convince you that somebody else did it. And right now I don't trust any of the things, so I'm in the red herrings. I don't know.
Yeah. You don't really know until they reveal it. Then
I expect to be surprised about it. But by the way, Bronson Pinchot,
he's great.
What a treat. That's another one where like I was like, why the hell hasn't this guy been working he's a comic genius?
It's because it's the indelible 80s character who was so over the top. He's the Urkel of, you can't break free of Balki Bartokomous.
But he does, when I see him in things like
just the public though, you just can't break that.
I mean, it's been 40 years since Balki. I mean, like 35 years.
Now.
Yeah,
he does not seem. I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but he doesn't seem 60. He doesn't seem that old.
Every time he shows up in anything, he's good in it.
He's been working. I mean, he hasn't been working.
Yeah,
I'm sure he works all the time.
And guys, Randall Park does Randall Park. So
in case you were wondering,
yeah, he's not breaking any ground there. But,
if you go to Bronson Pinchot's IMDb page, what would you think are his 4 known for movies? By the way,
Beverly Hills Cop, Perfect Strangers, end of list. There's one more I can't think of.
Beverly Hills Cop, Beverly Hills Cop 3, True Romance, and Risky Business.
I don't remember him in True Romance.
He was a kid. He was one of the kids in Risky Business. He was like his friend, Tom Cruise's friend.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but that was a longer time ago.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to so over my vacation.
Well, we're all watching Netflix. That's fascinating.
This segment's brought to you by Netflix.
I wish
it isn't.
I didn't tell you, Ron. I meant to tell you earlier. I was on vacation with my family. You know, a lot of kids. The hours don't match, so at night we needed to watch something at night while everybody else was asleep at like 8:00, and so we started watching The Diplomat, which came out several years ago. But season 3 is hitting later this year, so it's still going. The Kerry Russell, Rufus Sewell show. Have you any of you watched this?
I am aware of it, and that is supposed to be be I have not.
This is one of those shows that's on my to watch list that I haven't.
I think you both would like it for different. I mean, it's basically like West Wing at its heart, where it's about smart people trying to do the right thing instead of taking place in the White House. It's taking place it's about the diplomat to St. James's Place, which they call the diplomat to England. So it's happening in London. It's all shot in London. All shot around England. It's beautiful. And by the end of season 2, like there's at least 2 West Wing actors on the show at this point already. So like it's really like leaning on that sort of vibe, but it's a bit more, Netflixy.
Yeah.
There's a bit more action and a little bit. It's not an action show, but there's a slight bit more action in it. And there's just basically like Kerry Russell's character was the wife and assistant to a very famous ambassador, her husband, and then she gets the call to be the ambassador to England. So they have to switch spots, or he has to step out of the spotlight. But he's incapable of stepping out of the spotlight, so he causes her trouble. Not to mention, there's a whole plot that they get involved in England. It's like a spy show, a West Wing show, a fucked up romance show. She's great. Rufus Sewell's great. Roy Kinnear plays the prime minister's great. David Gyasi, who plays the what's the title in England? The Secretary Homeland. He's basically the
Home Secretary.
Home Secretary. He's really great. Great cast. Some unexpected things happen. We were flying through it, and then we hit the wall into season 2, and we said season 3 comes out this fall. Don't even have a date for it yet. We were just like, come on, because there's a really great cliffhanger at the end of season 2. So it's worth watching for sure. And Kerry Russell is awesome, playing a very not Kerry Russell character. I mean, she had Felicity and she had the Americans, 2 very different characters. But
I was gonna say,
even this character is very, very different than those. So she's got incredible
range. She's got range, yeah. So
she's very funny and good in it, and sexy and all the things she needs to be, and it's good.
Yeah, it's on. I know we did last year. We did the Make Us Watch a Show challenge, and Diplomat I think was on my list last year for that. And we just had, and it's funny because when you're in that, like I was saying, there's nothing to watch this summer, and when we're in that drought, I said to my wife, I'm like, what do you want to watch? And it still didn't make the cut. So, but
I think I turned it on once,
and they're short. They're like 8 and 6. I think one season 8, one season 6. I think.
But how long are the episodes?
Hour.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing about the Netflix shows is that they really push the hour.
Can we do 45? Can we get 45?
Give me a 42. I like a 42. Give me a network hour. I want.
I think one of the finales is like 1:15. But
jeez, come on.
Deborah Kahn, the creator Deborah Kahn is from Homeland. So there's like Homeland vibes, there's West Wing vibes, and there's like fucked up romance. It's good. It's really good.
Does Matthew Rhys show up at any point?
He doesn't, but we keep holding on hope he will.
Yeah.
Before we move on, should we talk about the tragedy of the summer, which is the fact that one of our favorite shows, The Gold, returned for season 2, and we are unable to watch it because we goddamn live in the United States.
Every few days I check. I know.
I'm trying to find out. Yeah, like it aired on. We don't have iPlayer, and I could have VPN'd or figured out how to do it with the TV. I want to watch on the TV and all this stuff. Yeah, so it's got to come to BritBox. It's got come on BritBox.
I keep checking BritBox. I keep checking, but like It came.
I
The
didn't
first season was
see
on Paramount.
I didn't see the last episode because my Paramount thing ran out. No, they took it off.
Yeah.
Like it disappeared from Paramount when I had like the last one that I was saving.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Latest update. Breaking news. The Gold Season 2 is scheduled to premiere on Paramount Plus in late 2025, possibly in October. So
Awesome. And
there you go.
I guarantee I would be surprised if they don't put both seasons on there, Josh. So you'd be able to watch.
Yeah.
Breaking news. There you go.
I'm very excited for that.
Okay.
We need to break down these walls. Break down these regional walls.
It's so stupid.
Let us watch your TV.
Yep.
We don't pay our license fees. There's no reason for them to do that.
I'll gladly pay for it. I'm happy to. I have all this money. I'll give it to you, BBC. Let me do it. Just let me watch the gold.
He's just
I
stacks of cash.
I know, just lying around. It's just, I don't know what to do with it. All this Netflix money.
Go to patreon.com/iFanboy.
Which is really funny because we've talked about this every once in a while. Of all the streaming services, Netflix is probably one of our least ones. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was the first time we'd watch a show on Netflix in a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, I was like, is he going to log in when I go to the
Yeah. Although I did watch the Trainwreck Poop Cruise, and I wish I hadn't. It wasn't as good as it was cracked up to be.
Oh, it was never going to be.
Well, it was less than an hour. I was like, I want a good documentary.
They're all chasing the Firefest feeling that
exactly.
No one's ever going to catch the lightning in the bottle of that again.
I did watch the Peacock 3-episode documentary about the Long Island serial killer guy. That, by the way, the trial hasn't started yet. The Gilgo Beach guy. That was fantastic, by the way. And
how long ago was the Vince McMahon one? That was probably a year or two ago.
That was a year ago. Yeah, that was last year. That was really good. That was
great.
But the Gilgo Beach one was, and I'm biased because they kept on showing the Long Island Railroad, and they kept on showing like he was in Massapequa, then he was at Penn Station, then he was in Massapequa. But that was very, very good. So,
anyway. All right, we're gonna keep talking about this. We'll be back in a second. All right, so this is what we've been waiting for. Hopefully, everyone else has been waiting for it as well.
So
there are dozens of you waiting for this.
Show of the summer. I'm telling you, show of the summer.
I feel like I should have an ascot and like a pince nez.
I needed to change into my tux, and I'm not dressed for dinner.
No, you're not even dressed for luncheon.
Which I started to say now more and more. And now I've noticed it on old LA restaurant like signage. Like there's a restaurant I passed that said luncheon and dinner, and I was like, oh,
yep. There it is.
The Gilded Age season 3 ended just a few weeks ago. Interestingly enough, we almost talked about this earlier, but as show of the summers go, this show built every week's audience size. So every week was the highest rated episode of the show while it was on HBO Max, HBO.
Because there's nothing else to watch.
Right. And so by the end, the season finale of season 3 was the highest rated episode of all. I love the momentum. We've been on this show since day one. This is like many different areas of interest for us, but we all thought this won't last past one season.
I remember
this won't last past 2 seasons. Now it's going to 4.
When I remember the day where you were like, one of you was like, it just got renewed for a second season. We were like, the hell you say? I
gotta tell you,
not only did we all watch it and like it, and it's about history, so that's weird,
right?
But like, it's not like I saw a single other person mention it, or like it was. As far as it was just the 3 of us.
The week of the finale, Vulture had like 15 articles about the show.
Oh yeah, because there's nothing else going on this summer. My favorite like kind of pop culture reference of it was, I think it was the second season, was the Watch podcast on the Ringer Network that I listened to. One of the guys doesn't watch it, and one of the guys does watch it, and the guy who watches it was trying to explain it. He's like, "Let me explain the show to you." He's like, on one part of the show is about a robber baron who runs trains, and the other part of the show is about a butler who's fixing a clock. And look,
that's why it's so great.
Perfection.
It's low stakes. I don't need every show to be about the world I'm currently living in and miserable in. I need the show that's about a guy fixing a clock. But making $9 million to do it while he does it.
This is, by the way, I don't know for those of you out there who don't know what this is, but have watched Downton Abbey. It's exactly the same show. But and I don't mean that in a bad way. But
what differences? Downton Abbey was early 1900s in England, right?
Yeah. So this
like World War I.
This was originally meant to be
15 years earlier.
The Gilded Age was developed originally as a prequel to Downton Abbey, but they ended up changing it.
Yeah. No,
because Cora would have come from here probably.
Like 40 years earlier.
This is 1882.
Okay.
Yeah. They were
Titanic sinks in the first Downton Abbey, so it's 33 years.
So they were going to have, I think, Cora's family in it, but they changed it.
Okay, that's the point being, both Downton Abbey and this have This is how it works. The music sting and the shocked faces
Yeah.
are exactly the same level if somebody wears the wrong shirt or someone is killed. It's the
Yes.
exact amount of drama.
And you
either way.
feel just as upset about the shirt as you did
Yeah,
the killing.
yeah.
There were multiple episodes in this season where someone said something to someone and my wife literally gasped, clutched pearls, grabbed my arm, and was like sat straight up in shock. And like, to me, that's like, and you guys know my wife, listeners don't know my wife. She does not react to things the way we do, right? And so, like, she was emoting at this show. It triggers a visceral response on that level. That's magic, as far as I'm concerned.
And so
the penultimate episode, the thing that happened at the end, you guys will know what it was. Or was it the second to last? I think it was the penultimate one. I know that I stood up and screamed, and I was by myself in my office. Middle of the day.
You're talking about the shooting?
Yes.
Spoilers, anybody? Spoilers. I wasn't as shocked by the shooting, by the way.
We need to give them the basics. So Julian Fellows created the show, created Downton Abbey. It's essentially about three different families, which we'll get to in a second. But Carrie Coon, Christine Baranski, and Danae Benton are sort of the main figures of the three different families, and then everyone else is a Broadway actor who is getting paid while they're in between shows. I mean,
which is great.
Everyone on the show is a Broadway actor. It is awesome if you at all enjoy Broadway.
I mean, what's great about it is it's the
not everyone obviously
the middle 1800s in New York City, filmed in New York, cast with New York actors, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the joke about TV started in the early 2000s with Law and Order and stuff like that was you could tell what a TV show shot in New York by who the supporting actors were, because Law and Order and The Good Wife and all these shows all use the same people because it was all filmed in New York.
Yeah.
The Gilded Age is the next generation of that, because like even the what's her name, the secretary, her mother was on The Good Wife, was on The Good Fight. Right, was one of the lawyers, right, with Christine Baranski, right? It's just all this.
Audrey McDonald is like a Broadway.
She's a Broadway actress. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I love the fact that it's like a little bit of this tie of this legacy to it, but there's at the same time, I love the New York of it. Although this season wasn't as New Yorky about it, other than the Haymarket.
Let's spend a lot of time in Newport.
Yeah, a lot of time in too much time.
They have to summer, and they don't stay in New York. They go to Newport.
Yeah,
why would you? It's so gauche.
But I love the New York of it. I love the historical aspect of it. The pulling from this is historical fiction, so it's inspired by history. It's not telling, like the main character, George Russell is loosely based on Jay Gould. But he isn't Jay Gould,
and the Vanderbilts.
But it's more Jay Gould than Vanderbilt.
But like J.P. Morgan is in it.
Yeah, as Bill Camp. Bill Camp is J.P. Morgan. Oh, it's so good.
Found these fictionalized characters with real figures of New York society and history.
Yep.
J.P.
Similar
Morgan,
stories, right, to what happened.
Ward McAllister, all those people were real people. And the conflicts are real. Like in season 2, which we're not talking about. Season 2 was all the opera war between Mrs. Astor and Mrs. Russell.
Astor's
that was a real thing.
That happened. The Met.
Yeah, between the Astors and the Vanderbilts. So like,
right,
they're taking and picking and choosing and playing with things, but
so much fun.
And then you get the Downton Abbey upstairs downstairs thing where you spend a lot of time also with the staff and
so Down sort of did the gentry,
but this is more upstairs than downtown.
And this is more that New York society, new money kind of thing that happens, and then who's actually society. And it's great because in this season they definitely sort of acknowledge the fact that like this whole society thing is completely made up.
Yeah.
Where Nathan it was like, I created this. What do you
Well, that ties with the Ward McAllister thing. So you have Nathan Lane playing Ward McAllister. And the other thing that made my wife go crazy was so Ward McAllister is the BFF of Mrs. Astor, who is of the Schermerhorn family.
Skemmerhorn.
She was a Skemmerhorn. She married an Astor.
Hoyt Schermerhorn. The subway stop to go to the Alamo now. But and she was the arbiter of society, and Ward McAllister was her, confidant, and he was the one that helped her decide that society should be 400 people because that's how many people fit in the ballroom where she hosted her balls.
Yeah.
Right. And this season, dealt with the fact that he then decided to write a book about society where he did a dirty tell-all and told everybody's dirty secrets. And that blew my wife's mind because in the 70s, Truman Capote did the exact same thing.
Clearly didn't learn the thing from Ward McAllister.
Exactly.
The same thing happened to Truman Capote.
Truman Capote.
They both were exiled from society.
Yeah, exactly. Truman Capote in the 60s and 70s moved to New York and befriended all of the ladies of New York society and learned all their secrets, and then needed money and wrote an article that then was going to be his next book, which was and told all their secrets, and they shunned him. And the same thing happened to Ward McAllister, and it was like crazy how history repeats itself on that specific of a detail.
Right.
Unbelievable.
You think Capote would have known what happened to Ward McAllister and would have sidestepped that, but
right.
He needed money.
Yeah.
It's like Mario
He could have
Puzo.
written
Fine,
anything.
I'll write The Godfather. Whatever.
One thing about the Gilded Age and what I couldn't find in my research about Ward McAllister is I don't know, did Ward McAllister need the money? Like, I don't know what Ward McAllister's motivation was in doing it.
He wasn't rich like they were.
No, but it didn't seem like he was in any need of money during this whole season. Like he just
Acting like you're in need of money. Acting like you're not in need of money is part of it, though.
Yeah, true.
Their
But-
whole
I mean, these
deal
people are
was-
all,
all
obscenely
posturing.
wealthy, and he's not. And
He's a
that's
hanger-on.
That's
Yeah.
part of the conflict is that, there's the three families are the Russells, who are the new money, the Van Ryans, who are the old Dutch money. People don't know the New York was a Dutch city, and all the
Yep.
old money was Dutch. And then you have the Scotts, who are the black family in Brooklyn. That's a whole thing we'll get to in a minute. But the
this
conflict
all-
is between the Russells and who live right across the street from each other, and whose children are about to get married, were Larry and Marion. But
fucking Marion.
But the
Marion
conflict is
doesn't fuck it
between
up all the time.
the old money and the new is the main thing, because the old money people, just like in Downton Abbey,
Yeah.
ran out of it eventually because they weren't working,
Right.
and so
And the new money new money people were hungry, and it's progress and yeah, it's such a great presentation of that pivot point in America at the Industrial Revolution and at this point in time,
right.
and what it represented, and the schism of the country, of even the idea of someone, a family that has been there pre-revolution, and the sense of ownership they felt to America versus people who had come, either were immigrants or had come over or weren't, the pride that my grandfather signed the Declaration of Independence, or, like stuff like that, which is just bananas
It's just all
to
a
think
way
about.
that somebody
Yeah.
can feel superior to somebody
Exactly,
else. That's all
exactly.
it is. It's just
The
like,
Van Ryans
they're
definitely
new money.
supported
Well,
Bill the
200
Butcher.
years ago, you were
Yeah.
new money. It's not.
And what they did was they did a great job of turning that upside down. So Christine Baranski plays Mrs. Van Ryn, who is the old money and stuff like that. And what they did was they had her son lose it all at the end of last season, only to be saved by her sister.
Classic Julian Fellows.
Inheriting it from her whirlwind Reverend husband who died days after they got married, inheriting a fortune. And so Agnes Van Ryn goes from being the matriarch of the house and being rich to having to take a step back and not having money.
Being a spinster.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a great, pivot point, and creates so much conflict, and just gave us what I felt was the MVP character of season 3, which was Oscar Van Ryn, who lounged on couches like nobody's business on this show. It was my favorite point of the whole season. They were just fantastic.
This show follows what I would call ER rules. If there's a happy couple and everything's usually going great, one of them's dying quickly.
Oh, you mean
out
like
of nowhere?
So Oscar's in the closet, and his boyfriend also.
Oh God, I forgot about that one.
John Adams III, and he right after this photo was taken, walked out to the street and got run over by a runaway horse.
No, he's John Adams III related to the John Adams.
The assumption would
He
be
could be.
Yeah.
He could either be John Quincy Adams' son, or Charles Adams died earlier, so I doubt he's got to be John Quincy Adams' son if that's the case.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But he immediately gets run over by a runaway horse, which
I guess he'd be the grandson.
There
We
were-
don't have to name them sequentially.
There's a couple things about the production of the show that I wanted to highlight about it. First, from a technical standpoint, Josh, we were talking about it, and we had to stop talking about it because we want to save it for the show. But I noticed this season, and I got to go back to see if they're doing the first and second season. Did you notice that they were blurring the outer frame of the camera?
Not so much that. I did notice that like a lot of the shots were just composed like a piece of artwork.
Well, yes, a lot of the shots had that composition, but what they also did was they didn't do this because they do everything digitally now, but it was the equivalent of putting Vaseline around the outer edge of the lens. And I noticed it. I mentioned to my wife, and then she noticed it, and then we were pausing to make sure they were vignetting the shots so that the center of the shot, the center oval of the shot, was in focus, and as you went out of it, it got softer and blurrier on like shot after shot after shot. Like from a production standpoint, I thought it was so genius because it influenced not only the mood but the feel, but of the time of the presentation of what you're watching.
I noticed, for whatever reason, I either didn't notice or didn't remember that I did, that sort of the shots were all set up. If you looked in the background, it would be like the symmetrical finery of everything that's happening behind them. And I noticed that very clearly at some point. And then Lindsay, my wife, was watching. I was like, I don't know why you're not watching this. And so she went back through. She's almost all the way through season 2. And even in those ones, I was like, oh, they've been doing this all along.
Yeah.
It's very...
So they must have been doing this, and I must have just noticed it. My second point from a structure standpoint, and I don't know if it happened in this season or if I just didn't notice it previous, but there are so many storylines, and the transition from the scene. A lot of these scenes would be like 3 or 4 sentences cut to a new location, 3 or 4 sentences cut to a new location. They were jumping from location to location so fast in some of these episodes, and you never felt the velocity of it. But there were so many storylines being juggled, but I never felt like I couldn't keep track of it.
The problem with that, and it's not the problem, but it's that. So what happens? We talked about this with the Pit also, is that you're in it, like you're just moving along with everything, and then the end of the episode comes up, and you're like, and they'll whack you like with something, every time.
So this season's main storylines were. So we had the Scott, we had Peggy Scott's romance with the doctor. We had
which was great because it gave us a glimpse into Black society.
Well, that's the whole thing, and the whole colorism that we dealt with the doctors. So the doctor, his family is light skinned Black. They were never slaves, and so they looked down upon Peggy's family, who are dark skinned and were slaves. And that's something I've never seen in a TV show before.
Never before. Yep.
Where they first meet and they immediately, you can tell that something is wrong, and it's because, and then they found out that her father was a slave, and then later on she's just like, those are not our people. And I was like, oh shit, I've never seen that. You had Bertha Russell's relentless climb up the social ladder, in which peaked with her forcing her daughter to marry a broke duke. This is the Downton Abbey storyline.
A British duke, right, and moved to England.
Broken British duke. And which is what Consuelo Vanderbilt which happened to her. She got forced to be married off a duke and moved to England. So you had that whole storyline, which dovetailed with the fact that her father is overextending himself on the railroad, and because George Russell wants to build the Transcontinental Railroad, and he may in fact be broke, although maybe not, because we found out at the end of something's happened. But for a while he's under a lot of stress, thinking he might be broke. Because he's trying to build,
which doesn't just make him broke; like it tanks the economy.
Well, yeah, because what happens is banks start failing, and he bails out the bank that he's associated with, but he can't bail out all the banks, and blah blah blah. And he's also trying to buy all the land to connect Chicago to Los Angeles, but there's one patch of land in Arizona that's filled with worthless copper mines that those mine owners won't sell. And he can't get around. And then he sends his son Larry, who does a metallurgy, who gets a new metallurgy report done to find out there's actually valuable copper in those copper mines, and it turns the fortunes around.
Turned out the person that she married was rich.
Yeah.
And then you had...
I love the industry stuff, by the way. If it was just George and the industry stuff, I'm still watching. It's so good.
So you had his son Larry romancing Marion was a storyline. And then probably our favorite one, which connected a lot of the storylines together, was Jack, the footman of the Van Ryans, who has invented a new kind of clock, teamed up with Larry.
An alarm clock that keeps because the problem was in the 1800s, clocks had alarms, but they needed oil, and they would often not remember the alarm. They just didn't work.
Right.
And Jack figured out how to do an alarm clock without oil. And so he and Larry team up, and Larry has got the connections and the business know-how, so they team up, and Larry gets the meetings, and they get the patent for the clock, and then they go shopping around town, and they go to another clockmaker, and they sell the clock for what was it? Was it
$600,000?
$18
million,
which is
and so
stupid amount of money.
Jack, who was a poor footman that morning, and now is $9 million, which is apparently more than the Van Ryans have. So he's working for people he's now richer than, which leads him to joining all kind of fish out of water situations in society, where suddenly he's hanging out in clubs of ill repute with other rich guys
at the Haymarket, which was on 29th and 6th Avenue.
He buys looks like a brownstone or a townhouse, and
fully furnished.
Suddenly he's the man of the house. Yep. So that was a great storyline.
When I was done with this, I was like, I kind of feel like watching Downton Abbey again, because I hadn't, and I know the movie's going to come out. And so I'm watching the first season. And this is one of those things where you see people use themes over and over again. And in the first season, Thomas, the footman, who Downton Abbey fans will also remember, who went through an enormous character change, he is shown fixing a clock. And they're like, you can do that? And he's like, yeah, my father taught me how to do this or whatever. And I was like, man, this guy loves a theme.
This guy loves clocks too.
Clocks are to him what feet are to Quentin Tarantino.
And you had, and again, lots of great actors from Broadway. I mean, a lot of people from Broadway. Ben, how do you say his name?
Ehlers
is Broadway. Yeah. Patrick Pages. I saw him do Hadestown. He was great at Hadestown.
Yeah.
He's Clay, who was Russell's. He's the one who set him up, right? He must have been the one who called in the assassin.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
He's great. He's got this demonic baritone voice, and he was fired. And then we mentioned earlier, Bill Camp as JP Morgan. You had Merritt Weave. You had Andrea Martin as the scammy
medium,
fortune teller, medium,
which was the thing, a big thing in the
spiritualism was huge.
Oh yeah, there was mysticism and all that into the 1900s. Yeah. So.
It was a great way to get money from rich people whose families had died. You had Merritt Weaver come in as Bertha's sister, who was very uncouth and not from Albany. Yeah. So it was just full of great guest stars, great Broadway stars, and
so good. My favorite thing about Jack the Clock Guy, there was a feature of him in Vulture, and they kind of set the stage that there was an event in New York City about the Gilded Age, and he showed up to it, and fans were talking to him, and they were congratulating him and saying how much they liked the show. And the writer quoted Jack, the actor Ben Allers, said, he said, "Thank you, brushing off the attention. People are really enjoying the clock."
So it's a anyone like Downton Abbey will understand this. It's a fun, low stakes, gaudy affair.
Low and high.
Yeah.
They're all of equal value is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's high drama. It's period piece. Pearl clutching. It's, you got the history element. If you're a history buff, if you like New York, if you like, all that sort of stuff, it checks all those boxes. It's got melodrama, relationship drama. It's got Oscar lounging on couches. Again, I cannot underscore the 2 episodes where the actor playing Oscar is lounging on a couch. And it is if anything represents my feeling this summer, it is Blake Ritson laying on these couches.
Well, especially the first one, where he's like holding a drink, and
he's holding the drink in a way that it's going to fall in it by the tips of his fingers. He's lost his entire family fortune. He has nothing to live for, right? And then at least the second shot, he's laying on the couch with a puppy, and he's looking a little more wistful.
Well, they didn't even mention the fact that he found the woman who scammed him.
Yeah.
Turns out she wasn't the ringleader. She was just a pawn.
She was a pawn, yeah.
So he gives her like $30,000 to go start a new life, so she doesn't have to be a prostitute anymore. And it's just like, there was so much coming at you.
He's a good man.
So much coming at you.
I like Oscar. I'm hoping they set Oscar up very well at the end of the season, and I hope he's going to be a big
right
player
before they ripped out the rug from under him.
Right. Well, he's depressed.
In this season. At the end of this season, they set him up strong. For
but just before that, they seemed to screw him over again.
Yeah. So
this is the yo-yo effect of the
can't wait for season 4. I don't want to wait 2 years. I hope it turns around quickly, but the way HBO goes, it probably will be 2 years, but we'll see.
Who knows who will own them by then?
Yeah.
So
they get all those actors available.
Another quick break. We'll be back right after this. All right, as promised, we have the summer mailbag. We asked for your emails. You sent them in. Thank you very much. We're trying to do as many as we can the remaining time of the show. So we'll start for the first email. Josh, why don't you read it?
Dave G from Los Angeles, California says, how do you think Star Wars from episode 4 onward would have been different if that first shot by Red Leader had destroyed the Death Star before Luke's could? I mean, it would have been terrible plotting.
Well, a good question, because I think Red Leader gets the medal, right? They're still on Hoth. Like, I don't think it changes anything, really.
Do you know the name of Red Leader?
The actor or the character?
Character.
Oh, I used to.
Yeah, I know.
Hobby?
That was
No.
Garvin Dreis. Dreis.
I don't even hear that in my head.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
I
they never
didn't.
say it in the movie.
Yeah.
That's well.
We would have known it in 1997 playing Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, but I don't think Star Wars
Does it become the Dreis saga about his family? Is that
No,
what
I
it is?
think
it changes
the camera
Luke's
just
story.
goes
it
over to
doesn't
him?
change Luke's arc at all. I mean,
Yes, it
maybe
does.
Vader doesn't know. Vader isn't aware of Luke as much.
But he has to he doesn't know what's going on. He has to do something extraordinary, and he has to use the Force to convince him that it's a thing, or have him learn that. So if that doesn't happen, he's just another soldier out there. It has to happen that way. And also, okay, so when does Darth Vader show up in the trench? Is he after Gold? Does he doesn't
Yes.
kill Gold. So he's out there flying around. He's not
Yeah,
like
he takes out a
on
bunch
the
of them.
Death Star.
He takes out.
Does he take out? Does he take
takes
out Red
out
Leader?
Biggs.
Who does?
Right. So what I'm saying is at what point does he scramble the troops and leave the Death Star, as opposed to like when first
when they start going the
in
trench run, they say they're
Vader took down Red Leader.
Yeah,
Vader killed Dutch.
Kills everybody.
Yeah, he killed Gold Leader, Dex Tyree, Gold 2. He killed Davish Pops Krail, Gold 5, Red Leader, and Biggs.
Lost
he
Tyree,
didn't
lost
kill?
Dutch.
Yeah, lost Tyree, lost Dutch. Yep.
He didn't kill Wedge Antilles here with the rebellion.
Because Wedge.
Then
beat
again,
out of there.
Sorry.
There was nothing he could do back there anyway.
It's the greatest. Like, what I love is you're no good. You're not help back there. Sorry.
But it was the right decision.
Yep.
He came back later. It proved his worth.
Can I tell you one of my favorite music swells is when Luke turns off the targeting computer?
Oh,
And
yeah.
the do like that subtle change by Williams is so good. Oh,
Well, I
God.
think it would be a terrible plot move. Like, it just removes all of the suspense and buildup. It's just like, we're here. It worked. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't that's not how narrative works. He's not the
Right.
hero. He doesn't get to win.
But that said, though, I don't think the rest of the movies. You're right from a movie standpoint, but Luke still survives. They go to Hoth. I think everything else still happens.
But why would we care about him if nothing happened to him in the
true.
first
No. But put across. You separate.
I'm talking in the macro sense.
I'm talking like we live in the Star Wars universe, and what happens, right?
So if I'm just some dude like
Vader's not aware of Luke's existence as much. So he's not. He's still hunting the rebels, but he's not specifically hunting Luke as much. Maybe the Emperor's not aware of him. Luke hasn't shown his hand yet. Pun unintended. So Luke still has to do something to make him be to make himself a threat to Vader, but he's still part of the rebels. They still go to Hoth. I think all that still happens. I think the trilogy still happens.
But the fact that he does that is the thing that really alerts Vader to what's going on.
Right, true, right, and
So
that's why that's Cloud City.
Switches off the targeting computer.
Yeah,
because that right there proves to everybody that the Force is a real thing. Because all of us are a little on Han Solo's side at that point, because we haven't really seen what it is.
I think that Garvin just gets shoehorned into the group. So like you have Luke, Leia, Han, Lando, and then you just sort of pan over and Garvin sort of behind.
He's not super charismatic.
Hey guys, he's like a weird middle-aged guy in the back. Like, hey,
I feel like he just shows up.
Garvin's still here.
Like at the end, like they're getting out of the ships and like Gary, and then Garvin's like, hey guys.
What happens is Chewie doesn't get mad about the fact that he is spurned from the medals. Garvin wins the medal and he's like, this fucking guy, and there's an incident.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
He pees in his bunk.
Then again, Han Solo never comes back.
Yeah.
Han Solo and Chewie never come back. He's not involved anymore. He's gone.
Well, he was
to go
still
pay
he's still
Jabba.
coming back.
He still comes back, but he sees the Death Star blew up, and he goes, "Oh well," and he turns back around and he leaves.
100%.
Right?
Then it's Luke, Garvin, and Leia.
Yes, it's Luke, Garvin, and Leia. That's the trio.
And
Yeah,
then and then Garvin ends up with Leia, but like,
Oh,
kinda
man,
like,
it's a whole
what's
different-
she doing with him?
Yeah.
He sold it up
And
to
it's
your
weird.
dad.
They don't get along.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a whole
yeah.
different movie.
Yeah.
Greg M from Philadelphia
Is she
writes,
pregnant? Negative.
in a
Just
recent
impacted on
Pick
the
of the Week
season.
show, Josh said there were plenty of TV shows with bad first seasons, but never gave any examples. Well, here's your chance. What are some good to great TV shows that did not have enjoyable first seasons?
The American Office.
The American Office. That's the first thing I thought of.
Parks and Recreation.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I would say Parks and Rec is not as bad as you remember it to be. When I rewatched it over the break, it wasn't as good, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
There are other examples, but those are the first two I always think of.
Some Star Trek is a good example. They didn't really get it until season 2.
Yeah, they did. Yes, the Star Trek: Next Generation did not hit its stride until after after the second season.
But The Office and Parks and Rec people usually mention. But again, I would say Parks and Rec is not as bad as I haven't rewatched The Office, but
I mean, Seinfeld.
Seinfeld's actually like that show did.
it's also like 4 episodes, isn't it? Like
I mean,
5.
Yeah, it's still. You didn't say how long the season had to be.
Yeah, well, no, but even if you go through like 1 and 2, it doesn't quite have it. They start to. It's
not until they figure out Kramer.
There's a show, right? There's a show that it has a bad first season, and then there's a show that hasn't figured out what it is in the first season or so. And I think that's probably more what I would have been kind of referring to, because there's a thing. You know what? Actually, Halt and Catch Fire.
Yes,
It's pretty good, but
Halt and
that
Catch
show
Fire.
doesn't figure out what it is until about episode 10 or so, when they all go to
Yeah.
Comdex.
Yep.
That's the point where the show coalesces. And
God, that show was good.
Was it?
Right.
It was season 2.
No, it's the
right?
end of season 1. They all go to
I think it was later than that because people skipped 1 entirely.
Yeah.
And started with 2.
And it might be that's the case, but I
Because
like,
season
whenever-
1
last
had
time
the
I watched
weird
it,
shirt off in the parking lot
Season 1
stuff,
wasn't
and like
that good.
yeah,
like they lit fire to the thing.
yeah.
And it's just that, like, a lot of times for me, when I watch a show like this, there's a point in the beginning where you're like, they don't know what this is yet.
Yeah.
And then there's ones where it clicks. Whereas other shows, they have it immediately. I was just saying to these guys, like, I started watching the beginning of My Name is Earl, and like the show is what it is from the very first episode.
30 Rock is at the door running.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Justified didn't have a great first season. It hadn't figured out what it was. Like it was each of
I
them.
disagree. I love first seasons.
No, I do too, but it was a different show. There was Case of the Week.
We had
I
this
feel like.
discussion before. It's the same show. The second season, people think it's only one case, but it's not. It's just we remember that one case. Like if you watch season 2, Mags will disappear for 4 or 5 episodes and then reappear again because there's cases of the weeks in the middle. It's the same. It's the same exact structure. We just don't think about it because season 1 didn't. Season 1's big bad was the dad was Boyd's dad, and we just don't really think about it.
Yeah,
but it's the Office is like the main one people think about. Ron, take the next one.
All right. Kyle from New Jersey writes in and says, I put on a local oldie station when driving.
And they were talking about you.
I didn't know they still existed. I put on a local oldie station when driving, and I've noticed recently that it's added some 70s music, which I don't know how to feel about that. What music do you consider oldies? It used to be 40s to early 60s, but that scale is sliding as the demo is getting older. I've always stuck to that, but there could be a younger age group that considers it otherwise. Or maybe they don't consider it at all, since a lot don't listen to the radio. I've been thinking about this question since Christmas in July. So I've actually talked about this in the past, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this with you guys in the past, that at least the classic oldie stations here in New York City shifted, and they jettisoned 40s, 60s, and 70s, and now they're 90s. Just completely
oldies?
Yes.
Yeah.
See,
and
and
you're lucky if you get 80s or whatever, and it's hard to find 70s or anything like that. Now I personally have moved away from terrestrial radio to satellite radio, which is way more segmented, and there's like a channel for the 70s, a channel for the 80s, and I listen to First Wave, which is new wave, and 80, like it's mainly 80s, but it's like alternative or like kind of that sort of stuff. But
But even when we were kids, though, didn't the oldie station play 70s music?
No, the old. Well, no. Here's the thing: the oldie station,
Oldies
at least
was
for me
like
growing
50s
up,
or
oldie station was
Motown.
always 50s and 60s. It wasn't
Yeah, that's right,
40s.
yeah.
It
Like
was
early 60s.
because my dad listened. There were two stations we listened to here on Long Island in New York. There was CBS 101.1, which was the best of which is the best of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I'll never forget it. And we used to listen to a station out of Connecticut, 96.7, and no joke. My dad would drive me to school every morning at 7:47. We get in the car, and there was always a Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons song every morning at 7:40. I don't know why. It was very weird, but it was always Dion and the Belmonts. It was always, like early 60s, you Run Around Sue and like stuff like that, right? But like clockwork. Then Connor, you had BAB and stations like that were truly quote unquote classic rock, which were late 60s and 70s.
You're right.
So
that was classic rock,
and this is the point that I would bring up. I don't know so much about oldies because I don't tend to hear them and I don't listen to
101.1 was definitely 40s.
But if I'm out in the world, classic rock seems to be exactly the same songs that were classic rock when I was a kid, with some things added. Like we're still listening to late 60s, 70s, early 80s is now classic rock. It's still AC/DC and Aerosmith.
Well, that's because rock ended in the early 2000s.
But classic rock thing. Classic rock is defined, I would say, is like you got like your Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, through the 70s to like early Van Halen. I wouldn't include like right now Van Halen as classic rock, but like Panama and Jump would be in the classic rock station.
Like when we were kids, that wouldn't have been. That would have been on the rock station.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Because it would have ended like, they were,
Yeah.
But what's interesting is I used to think like you think classic rock, it's this stuff that was X years old, which by the way at the time was 15.
Right.
But it really seems to refer to that era, and I think that's what oldies means in my head. Oldies is from this era. Sock Hops,
right?
57 Bel Airs.
So it's really not. It's not about time. It's about era. So the oldies era is 40s to 60s. The classic rock era is 70s through 80s.
But the challenge. So the oldies is defined, and I would challenge that, Connor, because it's defined by era, but it's also defined by format of those eras. Because what you had in the 50s and in the late 50s, early to mid 60s was a single based format. Right. Where bands were putting out, where acts were putting out a 45 with a hit song and a B-side, and that's what got the radio airplay. Then in the late 60s and 70s, you moved to AOR. Album oriented rock, right? Where they're putting out Led Zeppelin 3 or House of the Holy or whatever it is, right? Dark Side of the Moon. And classic rock stations shifted to playing AOR based rock, right? Which drove that. Then in the 80s, you still had AOR, but then it shifted back to kind of singles, and it became this weird melange of stuff.
I think we're back. We're
definitely in a singles. We're definitely in a single space.
Singles.
Yeah, we're definitely in a single space now.
It's weird though, because like I still feel like they haven't meshed. They haven't taken like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and shoved them in with Bad Company. That hasn't happened. It's not treated the same way.
I mean, it depends on the station you listen to. There's a station we listen to here that. You'll hear those. I just
feel like when I look
hear
around,
Led Zeppelin, then Pearl Jam, and then you'll hear Paul Simon, then you'll hear.
Well, that's because as we coined several years ago, nothing makes sense and nothing matters anymore. Yeah. So yeah.
But I still feel like if I'm out in the world and I see a kid out there in a Led Zeppelin shirt, and he's 17 now, he looks exactly the same as the kid in the Led Zeppelin shirt when I was 17. Like there's a demographic of people who are always going to be. Sometimes they have Nirvana shirts on now. I guess
now they have Nirvana shirts on. That's what's people. So according to
Nirvana's older now than like Led Zeppelin was to us. Then,
according to a quick internet search, oldies refers to popular songs from the mid 50s through the 70s with a focus on rock and roll, pop, and R&B. So Connor, you mentioned R&B, right? Which is a good thing. And then classic rock is mid 60s to mid 90s with a focus on 70s and 80s, evolved from AOR.
So are we then gonna say like, are there like, would it be like a modern rock station? Because I know on like XM it's like here's the decades.
Modern rock was what? So modern rock was what was WLIR or WDRE at 92.7, and which was also K-Rock at 92.3 was modern rock.
Yeah.
Well, K-Rock in LA, but K-Rock in New York.
K-Rock in LA,
yeah, 92.3 in New York, or what is it in LA? It was 106. Yeah.
I worked in the K-Rock building.
Modern rock is the closest to modern rock was the precursor of alternative. Like, so the modern rock station in 92 was the station that I heard Pearl Jam for the first time on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They were the ones playing Pearl Jam before it hit the charts or anything like that. Was, you know, DRE was the modern rock station where you heard that stuff, right? So yeah. Oh man.
So there isn't a sliding scale. Basically, that's a misnomer. So it's not about how old
they have expanded a little bit.
Yeah, they've expanded a little bit now. I mean, like, and the thing is, like on the Sirius channels, like there's a channel called Lithium, which is playing the best of the '90s alternative or whatever, and that, you know, like, and so like it's
featuring downtown Julie Brown occasionally.
Yeah.
No, that also the other Julie Brown. The thing about that one that really drives me nuts.
The other Julie Brown was crazy. That was the redhead, the crazy redhead, right? Yeah.
So occasionally they'll play like a really good song from that time period. Like, oh, that's a good song. And then immediately they go to like Third Eye Blonde. You're like, these are not.
Well, that's my problem with Sirius. That's my problem. That's my problem with Sirius and their programming on Sirius. And this is why I want to throw it out the window, is because it is on. And I worked with Sirius and I talked to people, and it is all. There's a database of songs, and it is all algorithmic, and is all programmed like by a computer that does it. And there's no one overlooking the playlist like they used to do it on radio.
Right.
So there is no one overlooking the vibe at any given moment.
Vibe.
Yeah, there's no curating a vibe. So like you'll put on one of those stations, and you'll be like, oh wow, this is a great Beastie Boys song. This will be great. And then it'll go to Salt and Pepper.
Right.
Right, and
this
it's like
Toady song is amazing.
Not even
Salt
Eagle Eye
Jerry.
No, you'll be like listening to, like, it'll put on Fatboy Slim, and then it'll go to En Vogue, and like it will be such a whiplash moment between genres where, like, I get that it's 90s, but it doesn't mean that you still don't. And I don't mean to segment the genres, but you still need a vibe. You still need,
have talked to my wife about this though, and I do believe that there are people who are not like us, who just like music,
who don't care.
But if they played it on the radio, then
it's just background music.
They'll go, "Oh, it's my jam. I like this from then." And there's no like, they're not looking like we are. We're not like, this doesn't belong with that genre. It isn't like that.
What's so annoying about driving with me now is that if I'm listening to the radio,
you're texting.
I'm not. Because my kids are now old enough to tell me to put the phone down. I'm scanning to get to find songs. So I'm just click. I'm the button on the steering wheel. I'm going through the 30 stations I've programmed. I don't stay on a station for more than one song, because the next song is never one I want to stay on.
I don't listen. That's why I don't listen. I just listen to my own music. Although I have 10,000 songs, and I don't know what to
Let's do more. I love these. Let's do more.
Bryan H says, I've been thinking about this question for 6 weeks, 3 days, and 20 hours.
Is it all about me?
Since Josh started to talk about his home stereo setup with Ryan on Pick the Week episode 981, but then cut himself off, never to return to the topic. So what is Josh's setup? Is there anything he would add or change about it while keeping the price range, quote, reasonable? Anything specifically to think about if a majority of your listening is vinyl? So
first off, Brian, why would you write in and even indulge Josh with this question? Second, Connor, why would you pull this from the pile and let us indulge him?
Okay. Oh, let's see if I can.
So, Josh, just answer the question. You don't.
All right. So I have let's see. I forget what it is. Like a Denon something 600. It was $400 when I bought it. I think like 600 now. It is only a 2-channel receiver. It has an analog only circuit. I use I have a U-turn stereo, which is extremely sort of basic. It does exactly what it's supposed to. I have an Ortofon OM20 stylus. I think it's probably in need of changing at some point. And then I have them plugged into 2 Dept speakers, which are the other way. And what happened is that I used to work in here. And nobody else was here, so I could listen to music all day. And then about a year and a half ago, my wife started working from home just across that very thin wall right there.
Well, can you plug headphones into your receiver?
I can, but it is I have.
I don't want to.
The speakers, like, that's the experience. Like, I don't like listening to music on headphones, like in the room. That's the point. So I don't get to listen to the records like that very much. But it's great. It's totally reasonable. I don't think certainly in my life or world that you need to have a bunch of vintage shit or expensive shit or whatever. I think that's all mostly dumb cork sniffing, and it does make a difference, but not qualitatively. It's just collecting shit for the purpose. But super, like, to me, like a super simple 2-channel receiver with a good basic, not a LP60, like a real, that you can change the cartridge and the stylus on. You're good to go.
So I will add to that, even though nobody asked me, but Brian, I wasn't on the conversation. So I am not living my stereo dreams because I'm at a point where, I'm just coming off of my children being
Those kids
small.
need to eat.
Yeah, the kids need to eat, but also they were young and they go to bed early, and blasting music wasn't a thing, and we were in a small apartment and things like that. So I haven't invested in the space. But right now in my office, I just have a set of clips, whatever,
Clips reference.
Yeah, R15Ms, very good bookshelf speakers. And I have the Audio Technica DJ turntable that everyone uses.
LP120.
Yeah, and then I have
I have an LP120 also.
Yeah, then I don't even know the brand, but I have two very small. I have a two little mini tube amp.
I have those.
Amplifier, and then and a preamp, and I use that to drive the record player, and it sounds great. And
I had those. I think the same thing or similar before I got this one. And they were fine. They were great.
Yep. So, it gets the job done. So
actually, I have some if they're for sale.
At some point, I will invest in, and because I do have floor standing energy speakers that are like real fucking deal, and I will reemerge into the home theater / music space, but not yet.
What I can tell you though is that, and I can say is that I don't know how many watts this is. It's not a lot. I'm like 50 or whatever it is, but the speakers, I can drive them very hard and it does not break up, and you
There's
really
a joke
can
there
hear.
that I didn't want to. I didn't.
That's
do
fine.
It,
but, you really can hear, like, the vinyl makes a huge difference. Like it sounds great because I've turned up a CD and the like CDs sound awful. That's what I've noticed is like digital's better, but like a lot of CDs are just horribly compressed. But that's great. I mean, but it's not like super expensive or anything. You can get by without.
Since we're over time, let's do the last question. Ron, you do that. Take it.
All right. Jason M writes in and says, it's summertime and you're 10 years old. Oh God, I wish I was. What's your ideal sleepover? You're eating beforehand and at your friend's house, renting movies, playing video games. Are you well behaved or looking to be preteen rascals? We used to sneak out in the middle of the night and roam the neighborhood like suburban coyotes. Are you staying up until dawn or calling it? Are you waking up too early and catching a rare glimpse of your friend's parents' morning routines? Ew. My friend's dad used to sit in the kitchen in his tidy whities and eat Oreos as if we weren't there. I realize now I think he liked to hit the sauce.
You think?
Anyway, please discuss. So are we talking about like what our actual 10-year-old sleepover experience was, or what our what we wish it was?
Well, he says ideal, but
yeah.
I mean, I feel like what I did was kind of ideal because that's what I did. But like ideal would have been rent a helicopter and be like the Kelly LeBrock. I don't know what you.
I'm pretty sure it was some combination of playing Super Mario Brothers or Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Right. Because 10 was 87. Right. So that was the right time. It was watching. And I hate to say it so soon after we just did the podcast, but it was watching Rad. Or a movie or Commando or some movie like that. And then I wasn't a stay up all night kid. I was definitely I need to get my sleep and then wake up and watch Transformers and G.I. Joe and then go home. So
Connor.
Yeah, I mean, there was only a handful of kids that I'd have sleepovers with, and that was basically the same thing as we would, depending on the house, there'd be Nintendo.
Yep.
But mostly we watched movies. We were always movie watchers. There'd be comic reading as well, depending on the house.
I will reminisce that around this time, 86 or 87, my best friend at the time was Bo Sirianni. And his family was from Texas, so they were always very interesting because they all had accents, which is very good.
Was it Beau or Bo?
No, Bo. Okay. And I did sleep over his house one Saturday night, and we stayed up and watched Saturday Night Wrestling and
That's a
it
good
was
time.
and it was the one with Mean Gene Okerlund and Macho Man Savage, and there were midget wrestlers, and they were shaving the midgets' heads, and it was like really scary. It was like really violent, and we watched a lot. We watched like an hour and a half of wrestling till 1 a.m. I do remember that.
So I would say,
if I went to Patrick's house, I would get up early because his mom would make pancakes.
Oh, nice.
So that was always like the benefit of doing that. And he was also around the corner from the comic store, so we'd always get comics. So there's comics, video games, and movies. That was
the 10-year-old sleepover for me was pre-comics. I was not into comics yet.
Yeah.
So I think for me at 10, I was you'd do 1 or 2 really good friends. You'd watch.
There were small groups.
Like if we watched a movie, like we'd try to later watch like a slightly raunchy comedy of the 80s if you could get away with it, because in Police Academy 2 there was the topless girl on the beach, and you'd watch
at 10.
Yes,
really? I was at 10. That was not on our radar.
Oh, okay. But all the 80s movies had it, and we were like,
yeah, but that wasn't like what we were going for. I mean, and Rad was totally pure.
I feel like this is a little early, but maybe like Genesis, we would have done it when we were older. But like, I loved playing games like with people, like at the same time, not the take turny ones, but when you're playing a game together. And then the other thing was I'm a stay up all night person. I always have been. We would have gone out in the streets with our skateboards and like gone around and be like, oh my God, we're out doing things in the middle of the night that we, shouldn't be right now. But I was in a really safe town with sidewalks. And so we would wander around and then come back, and lots of pizza, lots of soda.
We 100% did not do that in 1987 New York City.
That makes sense.
We were locked in.
We did. Like, we would be on skateboards or bikes and just go all over the place. It was great.
Good times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of when the last sleepover would have happened.
I do know
you're too old for sleepovers.
Well, I do know that there was a very specific time,
high school,
that there was 2 things that happened when I was a kid that I hated. Around like early high school, everybody decided they wanted to start drinking alcohol, and I was like, we were just playing video games. It was the best.
Yeah, I had that crossover.
And then the weed came right after that, and I was like, oh, come on. Now you're all just trying to score weed and alcohol all the time.
There was a middle school sleepover with my soccer team that happened after like a soccer barbecue, and it was gonna be like, we were gonna play Nintendo and everything, but it was let's go find the cooler where the beer was and then stay up and go outside. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And that was.
I loved what we were just doing with the pizza and the games. That was good stuff.
There's almost always pizza. Oh man.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times. Right. There was, and also at 10 years old, there was a lot of Trivial Pursuit and like board games and stuff. And we played a lot of board games. So we have to call it here. Thanks for writing in. Sorry if your email didn't make it, but we're already long. So we appreciate the summer mailbag. Right, we'll do another end of the year mailbag. That's always one of our most popular shows, or most listened to episodes. So once again, thanks for listening to this month's Mediasplode. Next month, let's do a teaser. We had this conversation on our Patreon hangout. We're going to do each one of our top 10 all-time movies. That's what we're going to discuss.
Favorites.
All-time favorites.
Top 10 all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Not 10 best movies. Not best movies, favorite movies.
All-time movies. However you want to describe it. Yeah. We're all going to reveal our top 10 lists. We're going to do that next month at some point, so you look forward to that. In the meantime,
I'm just saying bring 11 through 15.
It was very funny because the other night at dinner we were talking about movies, and my mother-in-law was saying how she couldn't she doesn't rewatch movies and she's hard time picking a favorite movie. And I was like, funny you should say that, because me and my friends were just talking about how we have a hard time picking 10 favorite movies. So
I made a first draft sort of it, and I was like, well, that was really fast, and none of these are surprises.
I made mine within 10 minutes of finishing the Patreon hangout.
Yeah, I was doing it during the Patreon hangout.
But then I realized I want to do 11 through 20 just to figure out that as well. But
that's a little more interesting, is what I found.
Honestly, 11 through 20 is more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the 10th slot we'll get to that next month. The 10th slot was painful. Anyway, that'll come next time. And then in the meantime, Josh and I and our special guest friends will talk about the week's new comics on Pick the Week show. Comes out every Saturday for the patrons. We'll also have our special edition shows, our Talksplodes and Booksplodes all happening at iFanboy.com. Ron, talk about your podcast.
Yeah, so if you're into technology, check out Android Faithful. Comes out every Tuesday over at AndroidFaithful.com, where me and my friends Jason and Flo and Win, Michelle are talking about new smartphones, specifically with the focus on Google and the Android platform. But we talk about iPhones and all technology, tablets, stuff like that. And actually, this week we're just coming off of the big Google announcement and announced the Pixel 10, the new phones from Google and all the new hardware and stuff like that. It literally just happened yesterday. So you can check out our coverage of that over at AndroidFaithful.com.
All right, so that's it for this month's Mediasplode. Until next time, I'm Connor.
I'm Ron.
It's the Denon PMA 600 NE, and it has gone up 50% in price since I bought it.
Since you talked about it.
I mean, yeah. Totally.
Josh drives markets.
At $3.99, it was a fucking steal. At $5.99.